Chuck, so here's a big first question. I get the tough questions out of the way first. When you get inducted into a Hall of Fame, you got to pick what jersey you're going to wear or what number, what your bust looks like when you get it retired. So sure. you just got a pretty big honor. You didn't know I was going to bring it up, but I get to brag for you because I was looking at the criteria to be inducted in the Sports Hall of Fame, which you were yesterday, right? Yeah. The criteria is a little insane. It's like so many years of service, so many meetings attended. It was not just been around for a while. It was do a lot.
Yeah, just be old. I think that was the first criteria.
No, and I know you're being humble. I'm not going to let you for a second. There was a lot of things for a long time. It wasn't just a member for 25 years, which would be great. It was doing a lot. It was consecutive years of member meetings attended, and listen, in a year, it's not easy to hit all those things and contributions to the academy.
Yeah, what I appreciate about it is there was consistency of showing up, and I think one of the things I said in my little speech last night is it's about the people along the way, because it was never the same. Like, I didn't present with the same people every time. It's actually probably hundreds and hundreds of people over that time. We've been fortunate to do the residencies and fellowships. It's really great to see a lot of residents and fellows there last night. Over, 20, 25 years of doing it. So super humbled, grateful, but I think really just for me, being acknowledged with those other individuals that have really moved and literally created sports physical therapy, and I was able to follow along with that. So I'm super thankful, and it was cool. I think I would probably have to go Tennessee, University of Tennessee, orange. You have to go with, orange jersey, white numbers. I don't like the black outline, just the white number. And I'd have to go with my college 41.
Perfect.
So.
That's great. When you sat down, because you got to give remarks as well, when you sat down to think about that, where do you start? How do you do something like that? Because 25 years is not short.
No, and I crossed into the 6th decade over the last couple of years. So it's a little reflective sometimes, but I think for me, I just said, how did the guy that grew up in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, so if you look on the map, you follow the Natchez Trace down to where it crosses the Tennessee-Mississippi line, and you come 5 miles to the east, and that's where I grew up.
Okay.
Google now has it on the map.
Oh, you
there
made
was
Google.
a while, yeah,
All
it's
right.
good. We got there. But how do you get from there to here? Because it's a long way, and so I think a lot of people came along, but I think I had people that helped me. What I said last night was pursue excellence. I don't know that I've gotten there, but I'm in pursuit.
Yeah.
I've had tribes along the way that helped me get there. I had an early tribe at the University of North Carolina with our sports medicine team that taught me what good was. Dan Hooker, C.B. Lean, Bill Prentice, really icons in sports medicine. Kevin Guskowitz, Darren Paddle were my research mentors, really kind of taught me what good was, but became lifelong friends. And then when I came to Greenville in 2008, I had a chance to work with Dr. Hawkins, Richard Hawkins, and Ellen Chanley, who's still my colleague now. Yeah. And just a lot of great people were around us there. And then now, we're in a different season. I've got another team. We just have a really great team at ATI, our executive leadership team, our clinical team. I think we'll maybe talk a little bit. We've got to launch this Institute for Musculoskeletal Advancement this week. So I think it's another great tribe of people for whatever the next journey is.
Yeah. All I heard you say was people, other people.
Yeah, for sure.
How'd you get there? People?
Other people. Look, I think relationships matter. And I think it's one of the things, just my family taught me to value people, work with other people, find relationships. And I think that's probably said, what am I proud of? I'm proud of that. I'm proud of a lot of people that I care deeply about. And it was really cool to get to see them last night. Well,
congratulations. That's not a small feat. And again,
thank you very much.
I went to a couple of the parts of the inclusion criteria, how someone can even nominate you for that. And it was lengthy, and they weren't easy. They weren't simple. It was pretty deep, and to know how many of those people you got to touch, and so you're mentioning the people that were with you along the way. What you may not even know is how many you were influenced, and how many people are going to mention you when they're inducted.
Yeah, that was actually the last you read my notes, maybe. I'm just kidding. But like pass it along. And I think that's, I'm older. So Dr. Hawkins used to always say, I'm not old, I'm just older. And I think a little bit think about a legacy. Like not because it's me, but like what can I leave? Can I leave things better than when I got there? And I feel pretty confident I can, regardless of where things were, I've left it a little better than I was before. And I think that's with the people and excited to do that.
Yeah. I want to talk about two big things. I was going to go in a different order, but you mentioned IMISCA.
Yeah.
Because the big announcement, but also, is it IMSCA or IMISCA? You went IMISCA. I agree with you. I think that's the way to go. So the cool part is I can ask the same, this is where I get to be a lazy host. I can ask the same question to several different people throughout CSM, and I'm going to get a different variation of the answer.
For sure.
So how would you announce, or how would you explain what IMISCA is? What is it? Why did it come about? And what's it going to get to do, right? What's this? What, so what, now what?
So, I think for us, we have been involved in post-professional education, residency and fellowships within physical therapy for a really long time. And because of my role and Ellen's role at ATI, we've done a lot of research. We've been super fortunate to partner with a lot of university partners in different ways. And in a little bit what I think about it is it's actually this coming to fruition in one place that's really the group of folks that have time every week to go, hey, my job is to how do we move musculoskeletal care forward in the real world, and then how do we do that through research with great research partners. We've been fortunate to work with, honestly, leaders in the field. They've taught us a lot about how to do research, and then how do we teach people how to do better. Like it's honestly kind of simple and not, I think.
Simple, not easy.
For sure. And I think trying to close the gap of, there's the offside that I saw in the session we were in earlier. It's 17 years from publication to adoption.
Yep. That's
like
a career. Most of a career.
Like we got to close it. And I think we're at a spot in physical therapy right now, labor shortage. More people are coming to PT than ever before. We're cost-effective savings, but there's other headwinds. And so I guess when I think about what can we do, because we're anchored in I'll call the out in the real world, we really pride ourselves on doing real world research. We learn something and give it back to our clinicians pretty quick, is being able to continue to do that and really respond to all those things. I don't know how it's going to work out. It's an interesting mix to actually be able to move musculoskeletal care forward in some little way.
Yeah. So then I got to have a future question. What would success look like for IMISCA in 3 to 5 years? What would make you say, yeah, we're not done, but we've achieved something, or look where we've come in 3 to 5 years, and that's why we set out to do it?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to look at whether it's this meeting, the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, other large healthcare meetings, that the work we're producing is being recognized
exciting for them.
And out front. And that we're able to begin to actually improve care. I want to be able to show that when we do these things, care was here at A and now it's at B. And then I think the last is people, right? I think our opportunity to scale in a meaningful way post-professional programs is super exciting. There's a lot of people working on it. We're going to take our shot to see if we can really move the profession forward. So I think this coming year we'll have between 30 and 35 sports and orthopedic residents across the country. I'd like to be well over 100 in 3 to 5 years.
Wow. That's not a small jump.
No.
Because there's infrastructure every time you add one.
For sure. And so I think just being able to do that in a meaningful way.
Wow. Well, that's great. I'll share the announcement. I already kind of reshared it, and it looked pretty exciting. It looked exciting not just for ATI, but what it gets to do. Because I learned research. My professor, Jason Craig, had a cool Irish accent. I will not do that accent. But he always just said, listen, Jimmy, simplify it. What, so what, now what?
Right.
Just, if you can read anything, just look at it. Hey, what? That's cool. That's nice. So what? Why does it matter in context? Now what? Where does this lead? Or what am I going to be able to do with this? Or how should we be thinking of this in the future? What, so what, now what? He did it again. Say it in your head with a cool Irish accent. And that was my. That's how I was introduced.
That's close.
He sounded. They always sound prophetic.
For sure, and my southern accent doesn't quite have the same twang. It may actually the IQ of it goes down just a little bit with that.
No, it doesn't. I think the southern accent's cool. You know who my favorite southern accent is too? Sharon Dunn. She would use it as, I always told her, she used it as a sucker punch. She'd be like, well, what do I know? I'm just a Southern girl. And meanwhile, she's probably the smartest woman in the room.
Yeah, for sure. She always is.
Yeah. So the other thing, and it's a good radio segue, which is, okay, so you've got MISCA. I can see what that's going to do. It's micro, and then lead to the macro. I don't know if you can get much more macro than the U.S. government. It's pretty macro, right? It's pretty huge.
Here and there.
They move slowly. We knock the government from moving slowly, right? But what you probably never say is they don't take their time to think and do something, because it's like moving a battleship, and you got to turn that wheel in the battleship 6 miles before you want to move it. They recently came out with something pretty exciting for our profession. We're showing up in their news briefs in the Department of Defense. So help me explain this to the audience.
I think so. The military, at least my whole career, we've looked at it. They've been doing direct access and early PT. That's where it really all started, and doing it in such a meaningful way, consistently over time. But the change they've made is now it's the preferred path. Their system is now said, not only are we going to talk about it and publish on it, but actually, and I'm sure there was a financial analysis that said, oh yeah, all those research papers are actually right, and it's the right thing to do to show that it's sustainable over time. But really reach out and said, we're in. And so I think with that, really being able to start that for all the military is super exciting. And so I think now it actually lays out a roadmap to come to that other big government entity called CMS and be like, hey guys, you see the math that the DOD use over here?
Part of you.
Yeah.
You're the government too.
Hey, Department of Defense, can
you share the equation that you?
For sure.
Yeah.
And so I think it's actually super exciting. There's actually folks with the APTQI are working on some policy things for just that in April, to sit down and go, hey, White House administration, Health and Human Services, CMS, can you guys talk? That'd be great.
Yeah.
And so I think it really opens up the opportunity, not only from a policy, right? We've been fighting, I think about over my career, not many states had direct access 25 years ago. Now most do, right? In almost every state, you can legally go to PT,
right? But
there's these other barriers, and so I think this is just a huge barrier removal with that. And so then, now what? For us, it really, I think, encourages some of the strategies that we've had with ATI to actually do early PT. We've been, in 2012, we started doing it. We've had a long-standing employer first program. A lot of people have done it, and Julie Fritz and the group at Utah and Intermountain, I was just with some of those listening just how far we've come and how much we know about implementing low back pain. And, we've really trying to take those what we feel high-value, low-cost programs to employers, but now the Department of Defense kind of putting it out there.
I mean, it's not an accident.
It's huge.
It's not little. It's not without thought. It's not without information and proof.
Yeah.
And now you get to say, hey, CMS, your cousin over here, the Department of Defense, they think it's, they got to spend their money wisely. They're doing this, and they value it, and they can prove it. Could we mind borrow your math and just show your math over here?
Yeah, I think that's the really exciting part. And so I think, it's an interesting point. I think, when the ACA passed in 2010, they said, by 2018 they wanted all payment to be value-based or something crazy like that. And it's 50% now. So I think we're at a teetering spot that it's actually going to go from the traditional fee-for-service, you get paid for so many units and so much time, to no, you get paid for the outcome you deliver. And so I think those two things together are actually really exciting because we do those really well. Right. We deliver a lot of outcome at a low cost, and so I think it actually is going to create more opportunity for physical therapy to not only take better care of the patients we see today, but actually influence healthcare at a larger societal level.
Yeah. It also puts research and says, hey, when we study stuff, it becomes actionable and we can use it. It does things.
No, that's it. And so I've kind of come back to the Institute. I think as we've set up IMISCA, it's really to be able to do just that. So ATI's had a outcomes patient registry since 2014. We've consistently collected data, outcomes data with our patients to see how they do. We've been able to publish and leverage that somewhat. But I think now it actually creates a little bit of a flywheel. I'm a good Jim Collins, good to great guy, so I like the hedgehog idea. But I think, hey, do we consistently measure these things? What we can consistently measure is typically what matters.
Right.
And so now, as we see it move, how do we follow back around with that? So I think that it starts to create this flywheel effect, and you develop some reps. I don't know, there's something once upon a time about neural cortex and firing and repetition develops along, something like that.
Reps.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I used this parallel yesterday. I gave a presentation to researchers, and people who know me are like, why the hell is Jimmy McKay doing a presentation in the section on research? He doesn't belong there at all. I was with a straight up 100% cutter and she bleeds research, and she invited me. She goes, Jimmy, I've been listening to you long enough, talking Foundation for Physical Therapy Research about let's produce more research. Great, don't stop, keep going. You should probably communicate it too, because just publishing is not the end zone.
Doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, it's like let's make the movie trailer. I brought up make fun of the TikToks all you want. I see communication in brevity. I don't think the human species has evolved that much since I was born. It's not that our attention spans are shorter. We have options. So I say, I don't want you to change your research. Don't pervert your product at all. Make it in different forms and make it accessible. You want to make research accessible, it needs to be in different forms.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things as we come along, we want to be able to grow into, really truly translation, right? So not only measure, not only implement them in the clinic, but then how do you translate that? So if you kind of look at our mission, that's really the three pieces, right? Learn something new, teach something better, and then communicate and take it out. And that's really, if we think about from focused handful of clinics, look, while we're big in the PT world and the larger health care system, we're a little more than a speck, right? And so I think trying to be able to influence larger is what's really exciting as we kind of look at the future.
Yeah. I mean, students should be pretty excited about this because this is on the horizon. Again, this was just announced by the DoD. It's going to take some time, right? It's going to ramp up, and then eventually, hopefully, the dominoes fall and CMS comes involved.
I think so, and I think, while it is slow, I do think the tension of cost on payers and CMS is actually going to force.
Yeah, money moves the needle.
Well, it's going to force the policymakers to do something different. Like the same. Doing the same thing that got you here is not going to get you there is where healthcare is at. And so I think there's going to be a lot more scrutiny on what are really high-value services and how are those delivered.
Yeah. What else excites you about the future of the profession? Anything? I mean, you get to look at a very interesting view from your vantage point over a spec, but the spec's kind of a lot of people, right? What else excites you about the future of the profession?
I think probably the two things that get me most excited is actually, we're here at the booth and listening behind is just the young kids and how smart they are.
Yeah.
They're so much smarter than I was when I started. And so I think we have really highly motivated, educated individuals coming into the profession that are much better prepared for what lies ahead than I was. And so I think just that talent pool is super exciting. And then I think the other is the opportunities there. So, right, it's, if I look at what's happening in healthcare and kind of look at it one of two lenses, and I'm a glass half full guy, is it's either it's going to destroy us, we can't get paid more, or that's actually the opportunity to change how we do things. And so I think I've got a really talented, I'm always a Jimmy and Joe's guy, not an X's and O's. You're giving me a really talented incoming young profession that wants to make an impact. And if you think about what Gen Z cares about, you ask them, I care about pay, but I want to make a difference.
Correct.
And so I fundamentally believe physical therapy can change musculoskeletal healthcare. And that's why I'm still doing it. It's what excites me. It gets me up every day, and it's why I do what I do.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, they are. It's a little intimidating how intelligent some of these students are asking questions. I'm like, I don't even know what the answer to that is now. Like, you're thinking 10 steps ahead. And give me a little passion, right? I like the Jimmy and Joe's, not the X's and O's. I like that because I think it was Eisenhower. You don't go to war with what you need, you go to war with what you have.
That's for sure.
It's like, so here's what we have. What do we have? Bunch of smart people. Great, let's put them in positions to succeed. What happens again? Look at it, figure out what happened, what worked and what didn't, do it again.
That's right.
Yeah. We do, as you know, every episode we wrap up with a parting shot. It's your chance to be prophetic. What was your, from your years in Hall of Fame induction, what would be your parting shot, or what's your mic drop statement?
I'd come back to where we started and a little bit where people matter.
Yeah.
And I think find somebody to invest in, spend a little time with them, and it'll take you a long way.
ROI is pretty good on people.
Yeah,
That's
for
probably
sure.
one of your
Every
best
day.
ROIs. All
Every
right. Well,
day.
hey, I know this thing is busy, so thanks for taking some time to stop by and chat with us.
It's great. It was awesome. Thanks,
Awesome,
Jimmy.
man.
Have a good one.